What's going on, guys? Unknown Player here, and today once again we've got some more Destiny 2 stuff to talk about. So as usual, you guys know the deal. I'll be rounding up all the most interesting bits and pieces that have popped up recently. I wanted to talk about some updates from Bungie and decisions they're making ahead of the patches. There's also some stuff happening in-game and some more general gaming news, and even a mystery package at the end of the video, so make sure you stick around to the end to see what that is. But as always, don't forget to leave a like rating on the video if you want to support the channel, and let's jump into it. So let's talk about some Bungie news and things that they've been saying officially. We've got a quick preview of a few things inside next Tuesday's patch. Obviously, this is the March update, the Crucible focus one with the time of changes, or the Go Fast update. And there is going to be a very long list of patch notes of everything inside the update, but Bungie did give a very small preview of some of the patch notes. So there is the repeat reduction, which stops you getting the same Crucible map or strike over and over again, which is nice. And there's also the same for exotics, so duplicate exotics. You can't get the same one back to back inside exotic engrams. So you can of course still get duplicates, that's definitely going to happen, but it means back to back, pretty much consecutively, you can't get the same item over and over again. And it's worth noting that is only for engrams, so exotic engrams, that's going to be a case, but for milestones and other sources, you can still get duplicates, which is pretty weird, but that's how it's working. For the Nightfall challenge card, they're increasing the maximum handicap from 40 to 45, so you can make it even more difficult if you wanted to now. A super random one, but something I've seen a lot of people ask for, is the timer to start a patrol mission. Obviously, when you go to the green beacons to start a patrol mission, hold down the button, it takes like a month to hold it down and start the mission. It wasn't like that in Destiny 1, it was instant when you press the button, it wasn't even a second, but either way, that's a thing, and it's been reduced, I guess. They fixed the issue of sometimes getting locked out of the boss fight for the Garden World Strike, emblems not displaying what statistic they track, and honestly something I'm so glad they're finally fixed after like 2 months or however long it's been, is when you preview shaders and it automatically skips you to the top page, which was so frustrating. Not sure why it took them so long to fix it, but thankfully that is no longer a thing. So again, obviously there are a ton more patch notes of Tuesday's update, but that is a small preview of a few of the things. So let's talk about Bungie's decision when it comes to the Nightfall Strike loot, something we talked about in my latest video. But of course, they posed the question of if they should show off the Nightfall Strike loot that's coming in Tuesday's update, or should they hide it completely, not show anyone, and basically let it be a surprise for when the update comes out. So it turns out it's going to be the latter. They're not going to show off any of the loot, they're completely keeping it under wraps. So on Tuesday, when we can actually play the update and the loot starts dropping for people, that is when we'll see it. I read through the comments in my latest video, and pretty much most of you said you'd rather see it hidden, and loads of people on Bungie.net, on Twitter, on the forums all said the same thing. Now it does beg the question of if Bungie are going to make the loot classified inside the database. I mean, sometimes Bungie do classify stuff, and pretty often with like the first faction rallies, for example. But in terms of more recently, like Curse of Osiris in Season 2, they haven't really classified much, so I'm hoping they do. Otherwise, the entire debate is pointless because we'll see this stuff anyway. It also does depend if Bungie keep all the loot classified until that Nightfall Strike comes up. Obviously, there are 8 strikes in the game, so that means there's 8 pieces of Nightfall Strike loot over 8 weeks, and that's how long it's going to take before every item is actually revealed. So hopefully it's a decent drip feed of this new loot, and every week is kind of a case of seeing the item, if it's good or not, and it's at least one new item to look forward to. Now, I'm really hoping this loot does actually look cool, and not only look cool, but has good perks. Honestly, there is just so much trash loot and just awful rolls on Destiny 2, especially the event weapons. So if these weapons end up being reskins with perks like Grave Robber and Take and Eat, it's going to be very disappointing. So I'm hoping they live up to their name. I mean, if you ask me, they should be random rolls, to be honest. It would give you something to grind for and repeat the strike over and over again. Plus, I mean, it's only 8 weapons, so it's not going to do anything drastic or break the meta. I don't think they are going to do random rolls, but I guarantee if they did, a lot of people, including myself, would actually grind strikes a lot for every single roll. Not going to happen, but just something I think would be cool. So in terms of getting these Nightfall rewards, how do you obtain them? So Bungie said these rewards have a chance to drop when you complete a Nightfall at any difficulty. So you can do prestige or normal if you want. You can increase your chances using the challenge card modifiers to set higher personal best scores. Earning these items may take many attempts to receive a drop, as they're meant to be rare rewards. So it took like 6 or 7 months, but finally getting items that are actually rare and difficult to earn. So I'm looking forward to seeing what these strike items look like. Of course, on Tuesday when the patch goes live, I'm going to be grinding for that weapon, give my thoughts on it, and of course showing you guys how to get it. So make sure you are subscribed if you aren't already. There's going to be quite a lot to cover on Tuesday, so stay tuned for that. Bungie also mentioned the quitter penalty for competitive matches, something else in Tuesday's patch. So only in competitive games, obviously there's no join in progress, and people that rage quit basically ruin the entire game. It's been an issue since launch, but with the patch, if you leave games repetitively, I'm not sure how many times, but if you're quitting a lot of games, you're going to end up getting banned or pretty much restricted for 30 minutes. and that's going to restrict you from playing any more competitive, or maybe all Crucible in general, or maybe the whole game. Now, there's also some pretty good but also vague news about security of Destiny. So the security team is going to have a bunch of changes going live in Tuesday's patch as well, but obviously they're being very secretive about it, so cheaters and hackers don't know what Bungie's doing. But with the security update, it's going to increase the speed that they can use to detect and punish cheaters. So again, obviously they didn't release details on how that is, but somehow they're going to be able to detect and ban people faster and act on people that get reported for doing bad stuff, I guess. And they said they're doing even more security stuff in the 1.2 patch in May as well. Something else they said is there is going to be maintenance for 2 hours on Tuesday before the update goes live. So the March update itself on Tuesday is going to go live at the exact same usual time as a weekly reset, but the 2 hours just before the weekly reset is when the maintenance is going to happen, and of course Destiny 2 is going to be down, unplayable, so bear that in mind in case you wanted to do anything last minute. So let's talk about Faction Rally. Now, of course, this is going to be the very last one of Season 2, and again, as a reminder, if you want any ornaments or emblems, those are going to be disappearing and pretty much impossible to get ever again. Now, a lot of you have asked me about the other things like the weapons and armor. Are those still going to be available? The armor, as far as I'm aware, is going to be the same across like all of Year 1 for Destiny 2. It's not going to change. I think the only difference is going to be the ornaments. So same armor set, just different ornaments to make it look different. Now, there's also the question of the 2 winning weapons that don't win out of the 3. Obviously, those aren't inside the loot pool, and there's not going to be another chance to get them. So whichever 2 weapons don't win, those won't be available until Season 3. The same way all the Season 1 weapons are still inside the loot pool now. So don't worry about the weapons disappearing, although there aren't many to be worried about. Those are still going to be there in Season 3. Now, in terms of which faction is winning, Bungie did actually hint at Future Walkout actually being in the lead, and apparently New Monarchy are still in second and could win. I'm pretty sure Future Walkout have never won a single faction rally ever, so it would be a first for them to win, but who knows, maybe New Monarchy will win for like the 3rd or 4th time in a row. I don't think the winning weapons are even a decider in this because they're all trash in my opinion. There's not a single one worth being excited about. So yeah, it could really just go any way. I don't think the weapons are much of a decider in this. Something else pretty massive that happened this week that was very, very controversial that I want to get your thoughts on was the whole situation of Modern Warfare 2 Remastered. That's a game that I myself, and I'm sure a ton of you guys, hold very dear to our hearts. It was also pretty massive in terms of the beginning of gaming on YouTube as well, like commentaries. That's where pretty much everything started. Everything almost stemmed from that Modern Warfare 2 era on YouTube. So comment down below how many of you guys played Modern Warfare 2. I'm sure a ton of you have, just like me. But it's pretty much been confirmed through inside sources like Charlie Intel and Eurogamer that the game is getting a remaster, the same as COD 4 got remastered, but it's going to be campaign only, no multiplayer. Modern Warfare 2 campaign remastered, but not the multiplayer. But that news pretty much broke the entire internet and had like a meltdown when everyone found out. It was absolutely crazy. But yeah, comment down below if you saw that news. What do you think of it? What do you think of Modern Warfare 2 being remastered, but only on the campaign? I mean, if you ask me, they've already remastered the entire game, like the weapons, the models, the maps, the characters, the UI, the engine. Like, if they're remastering the entire game, then surely it can't be too hard to remaster multiplayer as well. I think they'll probably add it later. So again, pretty massive topic and definitely the biggest thing that happened this week, but let me know what you think of it down below in the comments. Okay, so next up, let's take a look at a very special package that I received from the guys over at MSI who offered to sponsor a video and also wanted me to take a look inside and see what this is. If you don't know, MSI are actually one of my sponsors, been working with them for about half a year now. Fun fact, the very first laptop I ever bought with my own money for traveling and making videos abroad was an MSI laptop, so I'm a big fan of their products, and that's why I'm so happy to be sponsored by them and working with them, because obviously I've spent a ton of my own money on their products years before they even approached me. So what we have to look at today is a very special laptop. It's called the GT75 VR, otherwise known as the Titan Pro, and as far as gaming laptops go, this is basically the powerhouse. This is an absolute monster, just a hugely powerful machine. I think it was back in December I showed off one of the Ghost laptops, which is obviously very slim. It's similar to the model that I bought for myself, which is very slim and kind of good for traveling, whereas this thing, the Titan, is an absolute workhorse built for basically gaming and doing intense kind of programs and stuff like that. So of course I'll link down below all the super detailed specs and info if you want to find that out for yourself. But in terms of an overview, it's got an i7 processor, a 1080 Ti graphics card, 32 gigs of RAM, which is a lot for a laptop, and also 120 Hz screen, which I think is the best bit. Obviously 120 Hz means you can play games at 120 frames a second, so for gaming, very, very good. It is definitely very chunky and very heavy, so not the kind of thing you'd be kind of bringing around everywhere you go, but at the same time it's kind of a trade-off because the more powerful it is, the more beefy it's going to be. So it kind of depends what you want a laptop for. If you want a more powerful one that doesn't move around all too much, then this one might be a better choice. Or they of course have the super slim ones like the Ghost Pro, which I have, which is a lot slimmer but not as powerful. powerful. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, they're all very, very powerful laptops, but this thing, the Titan, is pretty much as good as most desktop PCs. One thing I've definitely noticed about this is the keyboard is actually really nice, surprisingly. This one's got what feels like pretty much a mechanical keyboard. It's very clicky and it's a really nice keyboard to use. I mean, the slimmer one, which I have, is the very standard kind of laptop keyboard, which isn't as satisfying, but it's kind of to be expected. So I was definitely surprised to see a very clicky and kind of like actual mechanical keyboard on a laptop. Also, of course, you can go crazy with the lighting and do pretty much any kind of design or color scheme you want. So yeah, it's pretty interesting. A few months ago, of course, I showed you guys the very slim and lightweight version, but then this is the other side, which is obviously super bulky and also super, super powerful. So yeah, that was what was inside the mystery package from MSI. Of course, like I said, I'll link down below all the specs and details on their website if you want to check it out. And like I always say, a huge thanks to you guys for always supporting the channel. Without you guys, I wouldn't get cool sponsors and opportunities like these. So with that said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. A very mixed bag of lots of different stuff. As always, if you did enjoy the video and if you want to support the channel, then a like rating before you go would be much appreciated. Like I said, on Tuesday, for the first time in a long time, there's going to be a lot to cover and a lot to talk about. So make sure you are subscribed. Until then, though, you can click the image on screen right now to watch a recent video from me. But as always, I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.